I'm honored to be able to interview Jason Van Orden. Jason is a successful web entrepreneur. He's the co-host of the Internet Business Mastery podcast that actually inspired me to build my own lifestyle business. He and Jeremy Franzen have now helped thousands of solopreneurs to build their own business. Jason currently lives in France with his wife and his daughter. Jason, bonjour.
Bonjour.
Would you like to introduce yourself to us?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Jason, and I'm thrilled to live in France and be in your country. It's wonderful to be here. I've had a lifestyle business now for about 10 years, and that's what's allowed me to live now in Paris, which is something I've wanted to do with my family for many, many years. And I used to be an engineer. I used to go to work and do programming every day, and I discovered that that did not make me happy. And so that started a search that led me eventually to being a business owner. And I discovered a life that is much more fulfilling for me, that makes me much happier. And it's now my pleasure to help other entrepreneurs or other people who are in a job that they do not like, to be able to create a business that gives them a lifestyle that they enjoy, whatever that is, whether it's living in France or living in the country in the United States or in Asia or whatever. And so that's what I've done now for the last 8 years, and I absolutely love it.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Would you share more about this lifestyle business? Because it's really new, especially in France. Could you go a little deeper on the definition of what a lifestyle business is?
Sure. Well, with our students, when they sign up for our course, the first thing that we have them do before they plan a business, we have them go through a process of lifestyle design. That's the word that we say in English a lot, is lifestyle design. And so that's thinking about things like, what do I want my life to look like? And we talk about different types of freedom. Freedom of time. How much do you want to work? How much time do you want to spend with your family? How, do you want to be more in control of your time? That's why I wasn't happy in a cubicle. At work, I was not in charge of my time. I didn't have control of my time. I wanted to be able to decide to, go to the park with my daughter in the middle of the day if I wanted to. You have freedom of location. I've moved to France. All I need is an internet connection and I can work from anywhere in the world. So I have freedom of location. My business partner, he lives in the mountains in the United States, and that's where he wants to live right now. And so, that freedom of location is a big part. Some people, they move every month. They take their laptop and they move every month to different locations. And so that's another type of freedom. You have freedom of purpose. What do you want to contribute to the world? A lot of people work in jobs that they don't enjoy, that don't fulfill them, it's not really making a change in the world that's meaningful to them. And I think that's sad. That's too bad. There's a study in the United States that says 70% of workers in the United States don't like their job, are not engaged, don't care about their job. They just go to work, they punch the time card, they sit down, they do their time, and then they go home. And that's just really sad, I think. So what is our purpose in life? What feeds us? What makes us happy? What gives us energy? What are your strengths? So lifestyle design is about freedom. It's about fulfillment. It's about being very purposeful and thoughtful about what kind of life you want to live, and then taking actions to create that life little by little by little. I had a dream to live in France with my wife 14 years ago when we got married. So it took a while to get here, but now I'm here and I look back and I go, wow, that was a lifestyle decision that I made. I wanted to make that happen, and I started taking actions, and now here it is. It's a reality. And so that's lifestyle design. It's not accepting what society has tried to tell us. Life is just go to work every day, for 8 hours a day or 7 hours a day or 10 hours a day. It's, what do I want? Not what does my family want, what does society want, what do I want? And I'm going to make that happen.
Thank you, Jason, for that inspiring definition of the lifestyle business. So let's go a little more practical about your own business. Can you share a little about how do you live your lifestyle business in your work? How many hours do you work per week? When do you work? What's your business?
Okay, so my business is Internet Business Mastery. I've had many different businesses over the years. I've done, I did real estate, I did some consulting, marketing consulting. I discovered many years ago that I was pretty good at marketing, and a lot of my friends hired me and colleagues hired me to consult them in marketing. And then eventually that led to when podcasting was brand new. It was a new thing in 2005. I started, nobody was really doing podcasting yet. It wasn't even, iTunes didn't even have podcasts. Google didn't know. I typed in podcasting in Google, and Google was like, did you mean, something? It's like, and it was like a fishing, it was something to do with fishing, right? It was like, I'm like, no, not that kind of casting.
When was that? How long?
That was maybe like summer of 2005,
okay.
Spring or summer of 2005. And so I was doing research, I was looking, and when I finally realized what it was about, I thought, this is great, this is perfect, this is going to be very important for marketing, for teaching, for communications, for education. And I could see a lot of possibilities for podcasting to be used in business and in hobbies and things like that. So I made a decision that I wanted to be an expert in podcasting. I wanted to teach people how to podcast. So I started 3 podcasts. One was about living in New York City. I lived in New York at the time. One was about how to podcast, and one was about internet business. And this one was just for fun. It was a friend and we started it, and we would just have conversations about internet business and how because we were both doing some consulting and some eBay and things like that, and making money online, and we'd both quit our jobs to pursue that. It turns out that podcast got very, very popular because we were the first.
Only 3 episodes.
Well, it was maybe, so we had 3 different shows. It was 3 different shows.
Okay.
And so the one on New York, the one about podcasting and internet business mastery. And these 2 did okay. This one, it grew very, very fast. People liked having that, to listen while they were walking the dog, while they were doing the dishes, listening about internet business. And it was not our goal to start a business from it, but very quickly we had 2,000 and then 3,000 listeners and then 4,000 listeners, and we started to realize this is turning into something. So we eventually launched coaching courses and did mentoring and consulting about how to start an internet business. And so now, fast forward, now here in the future or now present, we have courses that teach people how to design their lifestyle, how to design their business that will provide for that lifestyle, how to build a brand online, how to build a business online, how to launch their website. So it's a series of online courses that people all over the world take to learn how to launch their own business. And so we've been teaching people now for about 8 years. We've had almost 6,000 students go through our course, and now that's all I do. Like everything else we eventually put to the side because this was growing so fast, and it's been very, very successful. And so the podcast is how we attract traffic, is how we get visitors, it's how we grow our email list. And then from there, we invite people to sign up for the course, and that's how we make our money.
So are you saying that it's like 100% of your income stream, are from this academy, the academy course?
Yeah, so the academy is our main course, and it's step by step how to start a business. We also have, if people want more guidance personally with us, people can pay more money and have coaching. So we have different levels of training. You can just buy the course and that's all videos and audio and you just go through it on your own by yourself. Or we've got coaching where you get, telephone calls where we answer questions and things like that. But you're going to pay, $2,000 to $5,000 for that high-level coaching. We have courses about podcasting. We have courses about how to create a product and launch a product. So we have a few different courses, and that is 100% of my income are all these different courses that we offer.
So what's interesting here is that you can literally make money while you sleep. So I don't really like this formula because some people think that it's easy. It's not easy. It's just that you work a lot and then you build this online business, this online course. So people actually purchase while you sleep.
Right.
And the other method, they can follow your course without you being here.
Right.
So,
right.
Can you explain more about this business model, the membership side?
Sure. So it's a series of audios and video, and it goes step by step. And so we make an outline of everything that somebody needs to do, everything they need to learn, and everything they need to do to have a successful business. And we sit down and we record audios, we record videos, we have documents and worksheets and checklists that they can work with. And the nice thing is we create that course once, we put it on a site, so it's available on a site. We have students in Australia, United Kingdom, Asia. We have students in India, Japan, United States, of course. We have students in Canada, and we've had students in France too. And so any time of the day, somebody can come to our site. Typically they listen to the podcast and they start thinking, okay, they get inspired. They're like, I think I can do this. They hear our voices, they hear our personality. They go, okay, I think I trust these guys. They seem to know what they're talking about. And so that inspires them to want to go and look at the course, and they buy the course. And that could be at 2 a.m. in the morning while I'm sleeping. Somebody in Australia, is going to their computer and buying the course, and they get immediate access to the course, and they start going through the coursework. So that means I get to record the course once, and then we can just sell it for the next year or two. Now we redo it every maybe 2 years. We redo it to upgrade it, to update. But it's very, very efficient. Like you said, it's not easy, but it's efficient. A word that we use in the United States a lot with business is it's scalable. Because I'm not selling my time, right? It's not, consulting is, you pay me money, I give you 1 hour of my time. This is more efficient because I can have 5,000 students and I just spent a little bit of time and now I'm reaching more people and it's more efficient for me. So it's scalable, very, very efficient business model.
What I love the most about this intern business is really the fact that it's a win-win situation, because you can make a lot of money, but you can really provide a lot of value.
Yeah.
Like thousands of people could have followed your course, and they couldn't have without the internet.
Right.
And some people like Pat Flynn was a member of your course. So at the beginning, when I started, so your podcast inspired me a lot, and Pat Flynn inspired me a lot. So because of your course, Pat Flynn also was able to teach other people.
Right.
And now I'm able to teach
people, yeah.
So this scalable thing is really huge. So we were talking about business, but at the beginning you said about the value you bring, the impact you can have on people's life.
Yeah.
So did you have great testimonials about people changing their life or living the lifestyle?
Yeah. So yeah, I really like that about this business, the way that it really spreads out, from person to person to person. We had a student who took our course back in 2008. She was a mother in Texas in the United States. And she went to the doctor and found out she was pregnant. She was going to the doctor just to get a checkup. And she found out that the doctor said, I need you to go home, go to bed, and stay there for the next 3 months in order for your baby to be okay. And we call that bed rest. Okay. And so it's very difficult for a pregnant woman to be told, go to bed and just stay there. She had another kid, she had her job, it's like, how do I stay healthy? How do I, take care of my other child? What about my job? And so it was a very hard situation. Now, it turned out okay. She had a healthy child, but she had a really hard time finding the help that she needed, finding the information that she needed. After that experience, she thought, I want to share my experience with other people. There are other women who are having difficult pregnancies and have all these questions about how to, survive the situation. So she took our course. She wanted to start a podcast all about pregnancy and bed rest. And she took our course and she launched her podcast. At first she was afraid. She was like, why would anybody listen to me? I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I'm not an academic. Why, and I said, it's okay. You have a story to share. You have an experience to share. And I said, you know what? When I started my podcast, I was afraid. We almost didn't do it. Why should anybody listen to us? We don't have a Ferrari and a big mansion and why would anybody listen to us? And she's like, oh, really? You were scared too? And so she said, okay, you know what? Let's just try and see. 2 years later, we had her on our podcast to be interviewed and talk about her success. Mm-hmm. And I asked her, I said, what has been the best part of starting your podcast? And she said, well, I love that I can do my podcast from anywhere in the world. I love that in the summers, I can leave the heat and hot weather in Texas and I can go up to the north and spend time with my family. I love that I can make money from my podcast. But she said, you know what I really love? She said, I got an email last week from a woman in Oman. So that's a country in the Middle East. Yeah. And this woman said, I'm writing this email to thank you because where I live, there are no resources, no help for a woman with a pregnancy that's difficult like I have and like you had. And so I'm writing to say thank you for saving my baby's life.
That's huge.
Right? And, and so I said, Darlene, that's the woman's name. I said, it's a good thing you started your podcast and that you didn't let fear stop you, right? And so, talking about how, my story inspired Darlene to share her story, which then affected this woman in the Middle East. Somebody that she'll never meet in real life, somebody that I'll never meet in real life. Thankfully, I got to meet you in real life, but how many people like you I'll probably never meet, but who were hopefully inspired, right? So it is very cool, and I love starting a business that's profitable, but that is meaningful and makes an impact in people's lives. And it is cool that it goes forward and then forward again and then forward again, and the impact that you can have. So imagine if everyone, not necessarily owning a business, maybe owning a business, but just imagine if everyone did something in life that they were that passionate about and that made an impact that they felt really good about.
Thank you, Jason, for this great story. And what I'd like to ask you, because I think maybe in France we don't talk about this very often, it's not in our education. For a beginner who just wants to make his or her own life better, how can you put these values and this passion, the fact that you can help others, how can those things drive our own business? Because we might think that once I get rich, once I'm successful, then I can help people and have an impact on people.
Right.
If I just begin today, how can I use the thought of me helping others to drive my business?
Yeah, we all have a story to tell. We all have experiences in our life, and It's true that society tries to make us think that unless you've gone to school and gotten a degree, or unless you have 10 years of experience doing something, or unless you're like this top expert, that you don't have the right, to share these things with other people. And it's just not true. I mean, times are changing. Things are different now. We have video online. We have podcasts. We have, a little microphone. We can sit down and share our voice with thousands of people. And, we have people like Darlene and her pregnancy. We have students who love drawing. Okay, I have a student he was an illustrator for Disney, and now he teaches other illustrators how to be a better illustrator and how to have a career in illustration. Pat Flynn got his start because he was teaching people how to take an exam about architecture so that they could have a better architecture career. So whether it's teaching about accounting, or whether it's teaching about your passion for riding horses, or how to be a better golf player, what is it that you are good at? What is it that you have a past experience about? What is it that your story that you can share? There are other people out there who are facing challenges similar to what you've done, and they would love to have help in going through that. So we always invite our students to stop and think about, what are your strengths? What are the things that you would do even if you didn't get paid to do them? What do you feel compelled to do? What feeds you energy? For me, I love to teach. I love to share knowledge with people that helps really impact their lives. So podcasting was very natural to go and do that. So it can seem strange. A lot of people do struggle at first. What is that thing that I can share with others? However, you can also. So I tell people you need to decide what audience do you want to connect with. And for me, with my podcast, I wanted to connect with an audience of people who were like me, but 5 years ago. So we started Internet Business Mastery, talking to people who were in the same place as us, stuck in a job that they do not like. However, you can also talk to an audience that's just like you right now. Who's going on a journey with you. So here's an example. I have a friend who loves using his camera to take videos. Okay, and when he got the camera, he recorded a video, and he opened that camera up, and he's like, I have no idea how to use this. Yeah. Like I want to make really great videos, but I have no idea how to use this. So I'm just going to figure it out, and I'm going to share everything I learn on my blog. And so he started making videos about, okay, I tried this today. I tried different apertures. I tried different settings, and this worked, and this didn't work. Oh, I learned how to use lighting today, And after 2 years, he had one of the most popular blogs for taking video with Canon, with these new Canon DSLRs that are very popular now. And there's a lot of people who. So when I bought my camera, just like his, I followed his blog. Sure, I mean, there was a blog of a guy who, professional, he makes movies, he makes commercials. It was very intimidating for me to follow his blog because he's like on a level way higher than me. But Dave's blog, I love following his blog because it was like, he's just like me. He's just trying to figure it out. He's just trying to take a great video of his daughter that looks great that he can share on his, And so I followed his blog. And there's a lot of people. So you can also take people on a journey with you. Maybe you're wanting to learn to speak English better. And so you start, you start studying, and you share that on your blog, or you share that in a podcast. And so maybe you want to help other French people speak English so they can go to the United States for an internship or to go to school, whatever that is. So there's a lot of possibilities there.
I read somewhere on the internet that it takes 3 years of teaching to achieve mastery in a topic. Mm-hmm. So you shared a lot about teaching. Mm-hmm. So a beginner who just by teaching will become an expert, right?
Right. You only need to be 1 or 2 steps ahead of your audience, and then just bringing them along with you, sharing the journey, and they're going to love going on that journey with you.
One question I've been asked a lot, and I'm sure you too, is how long does it take for a beginner who's really passionate who's willing to put a lot of work and time and energy on their business, how long does it take for a beginner to achieve a lifestyle business?
Yeah, that's a very common question, and sometimes it can take a while. Our podcast, I mean, it was popular pretty quickly because it was one of the first. But, we didn't start making money until about a year and a half after doing the podcast. We have students who sometimes start making money within 2 or 3 months. And we have some students where it can take a year or 2 before they really start making regular, consistent income. And the important thing is you need to keep going and not stop. And that's one reason why it's so important to choose something that you're passionate about. Choose something that you love doing. Dave, in that example, he loved learning about his camera. And so by sharing his camera and his experience, he felt, it made him excited to learn more and share more. I don't know if his goal was to make money at first. Now he does make money with, referring people to buy cameras on Amazon and stuff like that. But so you have to pick something that you love doing, because it could take a while. And I can't say whether that's 3 months. There's just too many different variables, right? But the people who do make it work, they get started and they just keep going, and they keep trying different things until they figure out what works for their idea. And sometimes that means that you do something for a few months and you realize, no, that wasn't the right idea. Let's try something else instead. And you know what? Internet Business Mastery, it was not my first business. Internet Business Mastery was it was like my 6th or 7th business, right? So I tried a lot of other things for a year or 2 or 3. So you just have to keep going until it works.
One question I wanted to ask you is the difference between those who succeed and those who don't. Mm-hmm. From your experience from the academy, mm-hmm. What's the main difference?
Yeah, it is the fact that they don't give up. Entrepreneurship is uncertain. There's no certainty in entrepreneurship. Here's an analogy, okay? Moving to France, very uncertain for me. There's a lot of questions. I had to get a visa. I had to, find an apartment in France. The banks are totally different here. The paperwork is totally different here. I speak French, but I don't speak perfect French. So sometimes it's a little hard when I'm going and talking about banking, so it's hard. It was a very uncertain thing, but I had to keep reminding myself, this is what I wanted. This is an adventure. I'm just going to have to figure it out. I'm just going to have to keep trying different things. And you know what? Many, many times, I'd hit a wall and it'd be like, what happened? I thought I was going to have my bank account today. I have to wait 2 more weeks? And I could just throw my hands up and say, fine, forget it. I'm going back to the United States. I'm giving up. But no, it's I want to have this experience, and I'm willing to go through inconvenience. I'm willing to go through difficulty, in order to enjoy a walk around Montmartre every day, in order to enjoy learning the French language, in order to enjoy French cheese from the store, in order to have a rich cultural experience. It's an adventure, right? And entrepreneurship is the same. You have to get comfortable with not knowing for certain what's going to happen tomorrow. You just have to learn to have confidence in your own ability to keep going and to figure it out and to be creative. And the more you face problems and overcome them, it's like working out your muscles. Yeah. The better you get at facing uncertainty and overcoming the obstacle and moving forward. And that's entrepreneurship. And the people who succeed, they keep doing that.
Wow, thank you, Jason, for this this definition. It's great, and let's be even more practical and go even deeper. How can someone take this risk? Because you said that there's uncertainty in entrepreneurship. How can someone take this risk and be responsible at the same time? He might have family.
Right.
He might have money issues. Time, is really is not scalable, right? You have 24 hours. What piece of advice would you give to someone who wants to take risk, but in a responsible way?
Yeah, that's going to be a little bit different for everybody. I took a very risky route. I read a book that was all about entrepreneurship, and that inspired me and made me want to be a business owner. And within a year, I just quit my job. And I just went, okay, I'm not saying that's what everyone should do. Because some people, they get up in the morning, they work on their business, and then they go to work during the day.
Yeah.
And then they spend time with their family in the evening, and then they go to bed, and then they wake up in the morning. And so the biggest piece of advice I can give is you need to work on your business every day a little bit. Because that consistency is so important. It can't be, on Saturday I'll work on my business. Because it's hard to keep momentum, it's hard to keep motivated, it's hard to keep things moving forward if you're not consistent. So that's the first thing, is you need to work on your business every day, even if it's 30 minutes at first, just 30 minutes a day in the morning. Be consistent and create a routine. Decide, I'm going to get up in the morning, every morning, I'm going to have my coffee, I'm going to sit down at my computer, I'm going to maybe turn on the music, and I'm going to work. And for 30 minutes, that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to focus and get stuff done. In France, are you familiar with the author Stephen King? He's a little bit. He's one of the most prolific authors, and he has so many books, very, very successful in the United States. And he talks about the importance of his morning routine. He writes all the time, whether or not he feels inspired. He said, the professional, he sits down and he works, whether or not he's feeling inspired. So he gets up every morning, and he sits down, he has his coffee, he turns on his music, and he writes for an hour, and it needs to be that for your business too. Now, as far as taking risk, you don't have to take more risk than you're comfortable with. If you have money responsibilities and money problems, okay, start working on those, set goals, start paying down the debt. You're gonna have to make sacrifices. If you really want to make this happen, you have to make sacrifices. So maybe that means you turn off the cable television and you get rid of it. Maybe it means you eat out at the restaurant less. Maybe it means that you don't go on, instead of 2 family vacations, you go on 1 family vacation this year in order to have the time and the money to pay down your debt. Look at your budget and try to live off as little as you can so that you can replace that as quickly as possible. And but the thing is you have to make sacrifices, you have to be consistent, and you need to start working on it now. You got to get started now. And whether that means you'll quit your job in a year or in 5 years, at least you're moving forward towards that. And then if you have a partner, if you have a spouse, sit down with them and make sure that you have a plan together, because obviously it's not going to work if you have this plan and your spouse is thinking, wait, what are we doing here? You want to quit your job? Everybody needs to be on the same, on the same page, thinking the same things. So those are a few pieces of advice that I can give.
What about your environment, your surroundings? So you were talking about your spouse. I had the chance to have really great friends that even though they didn't trust if I'm going to be successful or not, they're kind of supportive, and they didn't say that, they didn't discourage me.
Right.
What piece of advice would you give to someone who's married or single? How should they find the environment that will help them to achieve their success?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question because one of the things we tell our students is you have to surround yourself with success. You need to have success around you. And what that means is, that might mean reading books about success, listening to podcasts about success, because that feeds you, right? It gives you the inspiration, it gives you energy. But you also need to have people around you that want you to succeed and who are trying to succeed in the same way at the same time. And your spouse might not be as supportive as you would like them. Your friends, they might not understand. At first, when I was reading business magazines at work, all my coworkers would say, "That's stupid. Like, most businesses fail.
Yeah.
What makes you think that you can start a business?" 90% of business, and that's just like, they were not supportive. And part of that is because they were afraid to try those things, right? And so I had to look for a while to find a group of people that was supportive. So, today you have things like meetup.com. You can go and maybe you can find a meetup, maybe you can find a Facebook group of people in your area. Whatever it takes, looking on the internet, networking, going to networking events, try to find even just one or two people who have a similar desire as you. And I did that early on in my journey. I searched on the internet. I said, at the time I was a real estate investor. And so I searched online, real estate investor club, and it came up and it said, oh, there's a meeting. There's a meeting at the local library. And so I went to the library and I walked into this room and it was 50 people. 50 people sitting in chairs who were just like me. They were in a job they didn't like. They were trying to figure out a business in real estate that would get them out of their job. And so we talked about it. We talked about our goals. We talked about our struggles. And that was such a relief to feel like I'm not alone. Yeah. You cannot be alone. You cannot do this alone. You need a mentor. You need, we call it a mastermind. You need people around you that think, about the same thing. So surround yourself with success. Books, podcasts, people, mentors, and make that a part of your daily life because you can't do it alone.
Mm-hmm. I have a membership site as well with some clients who gather together, and I provide content and coaching, but one of the greatest value they get is from the Facebook group.
Yes.
And they can share thoughts, even just sharing thoughts and sharing small, tiny successes, encourage each other.
Yeah.
So people can take course as well online. So there's the academy. How do you help people get each other together, for example, in the academy, for them to have?
We, like you, we have a Facebook group, and that is very, very popular. People love it because every day we're on, we get on Facebook 5 times, 10 times a day, right? Yeah. And so they're on there and they might see, oh, somebody just asked a question about internet business, and so they get on and they might answer the question or say, yeah, I have the same question. Let me know if you find an answer. So Facebook is a great way, and it's a private group just for our students, like what you do. So that's one way. And then once they get into Facebook, sometimes they find each other. So for instance, we have a bunch of students in London. There's about 20 of them, I think, and they found each other through the Facebook group, and then they started a separate group so that they can get together in person and have meetings in person. So it's the London Internet Business Mastery Mastermind group, right? And then sometimes they email us and say, hey, do you know anybody else in California that I can meet with? And so we'll try to get a list together and send them a list, and then they can put a group together. And we're still looking for a really good system to maybe more automatically connect people like that. But it is so important, and so we try to do whatever we can to give people a way to talk to each other easily, whether that's online or whether that's in person. Because even one person, my business, Internet Business Mastery, it started because Jeremy and we met in a cafe to talk about internet business. We didn't know anybody else doing internet business.
Okay.
And so when we found each other, like, oh, you too, you're trying to do internet business. This was like 2003.
Okay.
And so we met in a cafe.
So how did you...
It was at the real estate club.
Okay.
So we were both doing real estate, but we didn't like real estate.
Okay.
We both really wanted to be doing internet business. And so when we figured out, okay, let's get together, and we talked at the cafe. And then we kept in touch, and it was like 2 years later when I said, hey, have you heard about podcasting? He was like, no, what's podcasting? And I explained, and then we were like, let's start a podcast. So that was like a 2-person mastermind.
Mm-hmm.
We would meet and support each other regularly, and then it turned into a business eventually, right? So that's the power of finding even one person, to surround yourself with success. Very, very important.
Okay. Thank you, Jason. I wanted to ask you about a book. If you had to write a book, what would be the topic of your book? In other way, my question is, what is the legacy you wanted to give to the world, to your daughter? What is one topic, one message you want to share to the world?
Mm-hmm. So earlier I said that in the United States, studies say, and it's probably similar around the world, studies say that 70% of people do not like their job, are not engaged in their job. They go to work, it's like a zombie, and they just do their work, and then they go home. That's it. I want that number to be much lower. I love that every day I get to do something that gives me energy. I love doing it. You asked me earlier how many hours a week I work. I still work 40 hours a week or more sometimes. Sometimes it's less. Sometimes I'm like, I'm working 20 hours this week because I want to go to Disneyland or something like that. I love what I do, okay? So it feeds me energy. My business allows me to do my strengths, to create systems. I'm good at creating systems. I'm good at teaching. I love learning about new things and then teaching them to others. So I want a world where more people get to do that, get to wake up every morning, excited to get out of bed and work on a business that they love, that makes them money, that gives them a lifestyle that they like, a lifestyle of freedom, a lifestyle of fulfillment and happiness, a lifestyle where they can live in France or in Thailand or wherever. And that makes an impact in the world too. That takes what they are best at and then uses it to change the lives of other people. So I want that 70% to be 60, and then 50, and then 40. And it doesn't mean that everybody needs to start a business, but it does mean that we need to be willing to figure out what it is that we want in life and then be more deliberate about making that happen. So you asked, what book would I write? Jeremy and I would love to write a book about something that we call, this is a concept that we made up, it's called the single motivating purpose. And it's a process that helps you go through a process of discovering your strengths and things until you come up with a statement, one sentence. And this one sentence is basically a statement that says how you can make the biggest impact in the world doing the thing that you love most. And then, so if we help more people to discover what their single motivating purpose is, then they could find a job or a business or a pursuit in life that is congruent, that is, that works well with that statement. For instance, my statement is, my single motivating purpose statement is, I love to share knowledge and resources to help other people live a life of increasing freedom and fulfillment. Mm-hmm. And so my podcast allows me to do that. Or even when I'm, with my daughter, I love doing that. Or, when my friends come and visit me in Paris, France, I love studying, okay, what are all the best things, mm-hmm. and then taking them on a tour of France. So I feel compelled every day to share knowledge and resources with people. I'm a teacher. And so I want a business, I want a hobby, I want pursuits that are in line with that statement. So I would love to write with Jeremy a book about how do you discover your strengths and find your single motivating purpose, so then you can live a life that is in line with that statement.
That would be such a great book. I listened to your podcast episode sharing about this. That was really inspiring. So, in this book, if you had to write a chapter about failures, because we listen to every entrepreneur say that failures is necessary, mm-hmm. to be successful. What's your thought on that, on failures and success?
Yeah, failure teaches us. Failure keeps us humble.
Yeah.
Without failure, we might start thinking we're really smart, and I think failure is part of the process. If you're not failing, then you're not trying hard enough. And I think, like, if you look at any successful entrepreneur, every failure is almost like a badge that they wear, right? It's like, look, I totally messed up, but I learned these things. I talked about how Internet Business Mastery was my 6th or 7th business. Mm-hmm. And not every other business was a failure, but some of them were failures. Some of them I started and they worked, but I didn't really like doing it. So it took me, but at every step I learned things about. So, in doing real estate, I met a mentor who led me to another coach who taught me about marketing and internet business. And so that led me to discovering podcasting. So it's like, if I hadn't have gone through this path that was more like this, I don't think I would have ended up where I'm at. So, I've had products, I've launched products on the internet. Once, here's a failure. Once I launched a product on the internet and only one person bought. Okay. And it was my dad.
Okay.
Right? And that forced me to have to stop and go, wait, okay, why did this happen, And I realized that I hadn't really listened to what my customers wanted. I hadn't really asked my audience what they wanted most. And so ever since, I always survey my audience first before I launch a product. So I learned an important lesson from that. Okay. And, so every failure has those lessons to be learned. And like I said before, it's like strengthening the muscle. Every time you face a problem and maybe you fail and you overcome it, you've strengthened that creativity muscle, you've strengthened that entrepreneurship muscle to just keep moving forward and face bigger problems and bigger problems and bigger problems. So that's why failure is important.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Is there any question I haven't asked you that you would have loved me to ask you? Is there something you want to share, a tip, a motivational, something that you can motivate our listeners to follow their passion, build their business? Mm-hmm.
I just hope that people would. Some people might be watching this. Some listeners, some viewers might be watching this and thinking, "This is really strange. I've never, it's a completely new idea. Lifestyle design, internet business. It seems so foreign, and it would be very easy to just dismiss it and say, that's not for me, right?" And so I would just encourage people to keep a bit of an open mind about it. I mentioned 14 years ago, I got engaged to Melanie, who's my wife now. And we started talking about, what we wanted our life to be like together. And at the time, I was just an engineer. I didn't know anything about business. I didn't even know I was going to ever be an entrepreneur. But one thing we talked about is, wouldn't it be cool someday to live in France? We just both really liked France. We thought it would be nice. And we didn't know whether we'd ever be able to make that happen or not. And so then we got married. And 4 years later, when I was a real estate investor, when I did my first real estate investing deal, and I made $17,000. So it was a big deal. And so it was very exciting. And we immediately bought plane tickets to come to Paris, France, together. And it was our anniversary, so we'd been married 4 years. So that was 10 years ago. And we came here for about a week. We went all over Paris. And at one part in that trip, we went up to Sacré-Cœur, and we were in Montmartre. And after going through the church, we came down the hill to a cafe. And we were sitting at that cafe looking at, the beautiful Montmartre neighborhood going, man, wouldn't it be cool to live here someday, right? What I didn't know is 10 years later, You know, if sitting at that cafe with my wife and we're talking and looking around, wouldn't it be cool if I just looked to my left and looked down the stairs of Montmartre.
Okay.
Down at the bottom of those stairs is the apartment building where I live right now.
Wow.
Okay? I had no idea that at that time that would happen. I didn't know whether or not we would make it work, but I knew that that's something I wanted my life to have. And now it's just amazing to look back at that dream that we had 14 years ago. And so much has had to happen to get us where we are now. But we made a decision to not just accept life the way that society wants it to be. We've always been about being willing to do the hard things in order to bring our happiness up one more level, to bring our fulfillment up one more level, to bring ourselves one step closer to our dreams. And now I'm living in Paris, France, in Montmartre. So just get started. Just decide now what's something that you want, and then take one step forward. And every day just do a little bit towards that dream until you're living. Because one day you're going to wake up and you'll be living that dream. It's no longer going to be this thing here in your heart, in your mind. It will be around you. It will be something that you're living. And that's something I want for everyone.
Wow. Thank you. Jason, since we're talking about your life in Paris, last week was your birthday. Mm-hmm. So can you share with us what did you do on this day? I read on your Facebook wall that a lot of things happened, and I want to finish this interview by you sharing about this because it took a while for you to get to this point, mm-hmm. and it's possible. And can you share with us what you did on this day with your family?
Yeah, I mean, so the reason I came to France is to experience France. I want to, learn about the culture. I want to learn about the history. I want to improve my French. And so we went on a bike tour around Paris. There's a company, it's electric bikes, and so it kind of helps pedal so that you can go for about 4 hours and not get totally tired, because I can't run a marathon like you. And so we did this bike tour, and it was so cool. He took us inside of Saint-Sulpice, and he was talking to us about the art, and then he was taking us to the Pocop, the oldest cafe in Paris, and telling us the history of that. And then and it was just so cool, because I was like, this is what I want. I want to learn about French culture and Paris. And, of course, because I'm an entrepreneur, I was totally fascinated by this guy's business. Afterwards, when we got back, everyone else like, oh, great tour, thank you very much, here's your money, and they all left. And I stayed and we talked for about an hour about his business, and I gave him several ideas about how to market the business. But it was so cool. We just fell in love with Paris again, because we're just riding our bikes, past Notre Dame, past the Seine. And then we sat at a cafe in Saint-Germain, and we sat there and ate and had our coffee and our entrecôte, and it was just great, a great French experience, and we felt like this is wonderful. This is what we wanted when we came to France.
Okay. And what about in 10 years, where your lifestyle business will bring you?
In 10 years, I'm not sure. Maybe I'll still be living in Europe. That might be happening. As far as my business, I just want it to grow, to be able to reach more people. We've talked about how we have been able to teach thousands of people. I'd like that to be tens of thousands of people. We've talked about writing books. Hopefully we do write. I have had one book published before. It was about podcasting, but that was about 7 years ago. Okay. So it's time for another book. It takes a lot of time to write a book, though. But I would like to publish. I would like to have a book or 2 or 3 or 5 books published, because even though books, they don't make you money, but they are still a great way to reach a lot of people. So I'd like to have tens of thousands of people using our course to discover the lifestyle that they want, and a business that will bring them that lifestyle. And so in 10 years, hopefully that's what we're doing.
And maybe a blog, a business blog about how to travel around the world with your family.
With your family, yeah.
As you started. So
yeah.
Can you share, you started a new blog with your family?
Yeah, so right now it's just a blog about, it's to share photos, because of course all of our friends and all of our family are like, oh wow, what is it like to live in Paris? So we want to share that experience with them. Because I'm an entrepreneur, of course, in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking, like I said, it was hard getting a visa, getting a mobile phone, getting a bank account, like all these things. So I'm like, oh, I should write an ebook.
Yeah.
An ebook for Americans who want to live in France, of all the steps. And, how do you, like I was asking you, where do you look for an apartment? I was looking on Craigslist, and you showed me like 3 or 4 other sites I didn't even know about. So it's like, so I'm thinking, an ebook, a course to help people. I don't know if I have time, but I'm sure it would make money if I made it. So I don't know, we'll see. But no matter what, I want to share this experience with others, because I know, and people tell me, I see your life, that you're living in France, and this dream that you've made happen, and it makes me want to live my dream.
Yeah.
So that's part of why I share it, because hopefully it inspires other people too.
That's such a great conclusion, Jason. Thank you for your time. If people want to reach out to you, how can they do it?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter, Jason VO, and then I'm also internetbusinessmastery.com. That's the podcast, and it's free to listen to. It's all in English, but if you made it to this point in the video, then you should be able to understand the podcast as well. So certainly check out the podcast too.
Yeah, great podcast. And we're in Paris. I'm in Paris. Jason is here right now. If you want to meet us, let us know. Let me know. You have my contact details at the bottom of this video, and we can spend some time together.
I would love that. That'd be great. Yeah.
We already went to one networking event. To an event. We might go to the VayCon on Thursday. So we're doing a lot of stuff. So you're welcome to join us.
That'd be great.
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah. Thank you.